authority to complete the fiscal year, including transfers. So we don't have to come in there.
This is an every June request that the board give me the authority to close out the fiscal year and to transfer funds into line items where I best deem suited to get us started for the next year. And if you need a little more clarity on that, I can transfer funds to contingency reserve, I can transfer funds to special education, I can transfer funds to food service so that we can get a jump and anything. It's almost like a prepay. I load the line to where we're not tapping into our next fiscal year budget until we use up what's transferred over, so it kind of gets us a jump on things.
And all that being said, we're hoping that there are funds to transfer.
Also move.
Second it.
Motion by David, seconded by Gina, that USD 298 Board of Education approve giving the district office staff the authority to make final transfers to close out the current fiscal year. Any other discussion?
I just have a question, clarify, will these transfers be coming out of the unencumbered funds left over in this year's budget? Or they could, okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, admin reports.
I was just looking to see what I wrote. The only thing I add on there is we received a Post Rock Community Foundation grant at the high school to put an electric drop-down screen in the commons and a projector. So pretty excited about that. We have a lot of presentations in there. We haul in and out, and it'll just make it a little more conducive for presenting. We have a lot of stuff with our kids in there, so pretty excited about that. It'll be installed this summer. I want to I didn't include the state assessment things like Mrs. Schmidt did, so I'm kind of a slacker. But I did put in there the state assessment results. We are still waiting on sophomore take the math assessment, and our history ones are graded in-house. And so we don't have all those comparative to the rest of the state. However, I want to give a big shout out to our teachers and our students for working so hard on those. We met, or we beat the state average on everything in junior high, 6, 7, and 11 sophomores. So that's pretty exciting. I do think that next year, we just went to the USA conference last week, and Dr. Watson gave a presentation on comparative of state assessments and how good the kids did after graduation in terms of success rate. And it showed the state assessments, kids that get 1s on the state assessment and kids that go to college, four-year colleges, tech schools, community college, they're not relative. Why? This is kind of what I told you guys in May, and my belief is that kids don't really care about the state assessment, so they don't put forth a lot of effort in it. And so I'm hoping that I hate to say that we have to incentivize everything, but that's the world we live in. And so I'm hoping that next spring when we take them, they saw in the fall those kids that got out, they might take more heart into their state assessments. Fingers crossed. I hate that that's how we're measured, but again, that's the world we live in. So. I think that's all I have. Summer stuff is kicked off, driver's ed, and it's like the kids never left. So we have kids every day. The summer STEM program that Mrs. Webke's doing has been great success. Full room of kids doing some cool stuff. They started drones this week, so that's exciting. Hopefully the wind stops blowing so they can go out and fly some. And then I also want to give a big shout out, and we're we're not to the point of success yet, but they've been working their tails off, our janitors in the commons. So if you are just driving by, I encourage you to swing by the high school and call me and I'll let you in if no one's in the office. But they have been working tirelessly to take off, they estimate about 100 coats of wax on the commons floor, and what used to look like brown dingy flooring is now pretty blue again, like I remember it from high school. So I'm super excited about it. They kind of grumble at me, but I'm pumped. So I think our floor is going to look really good when they're done.
It's only taken about 3 drums of stripper
Yes.
and about 4 tanks of propane so
Yes.
far, and we're still not done.
Yeah.
When they came out and thought they were going to show us how to clean that floor up, they had no idea. And this guy who's been in the business for decades said, I've never seen so many layers of wax in my entire career. So our process wasn't quite what it should have been. And it just layered upon layered upon layered, and our blue in there was kind of more of a turquoise. Well, now we're getting back to blue. But I am surprised it's not leopard blue, it's like Tiffany blue, right? Like robin egg blue. Isn't that Tiffany blue? Yeah, robin egg?
It's still much prettier than what it looked like.
Oh yeah, it looked pretty grimy.
It looked pretty nasty. So
Hours.
they're going to do the classrooms that have tile. They shouldn't take as long, fingers crossed, they don't have near the wax on them. And then they'll come back and train on the proper way to put wax down and how many coats. And so hopefully the guy was here just last Thursday, I think, to just check in, and I talked to him and he said, we won't have to do this process again for 15 years. So I'm like, well, that'll make him happy. So
You gotta get to another 100 layers.
yes, yes. So, but it's gonna look like a new flooring, and I think that we should be able to go in and replace the ones that are broken, and then we'll put the new wax on, and it'll look much, much better.
Are they gonna do the bathrooms as well?
They can't, it's a different type of flooring. I think what are we on, contractor number 3 or 4 that came and looked at the epoxy, and they're like, oh, like everyone says they can fix it, and then they come in and they're like, maybe not. The consensus from pretty much every contractor is you have to buff it clear down to the concrete. And it's quite a project, so maybe next summer?
Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki.
Yep.
Any other questions for her? Okay. Superintendent's report.
All right, I just have a few things for you, a few updates. I'm meeting this Friday, the 17th, with Blue Cross Blue Shield and our KASB broker, Jeremy Wozniak. He's pretty confident that we're going to be looking at flat premiums for our health insurance, or possibly even reduction, but he's a broker, so he's probably optimistic that way when he talks to people that he works for. I did have a very fascinating Zoom meeting with Verizon Fleet Management this last week. They provide services that track vehicles. They track mileage. They send alerts at 5,000 miles when you need an oil change. You can get a monthly summary. You could get a per trip summary. I've been talking with Jan, and I think I talked to Mrs. Flynn as well, and that is, how much time are we spending managing our fleet? You know, I shared with you the mileage that we have on our vehicles. Currently, the Impala, which is probably 180 plus thousand miles now, it has broken down twice so far for driver's ed, maybe 3.
3 times in a week.
In our aging vehicles, we have a challenge, and the brake systems for those partner brakes, they're kind of extensive, and the brakes we have are for older models than what we have, and it's a challenge, and blah, blah, blah. So, I can't find any vehicles. I know you said I could research at the last board meeting. I can't find any decent vehicles right now. There's just not much of an inventory. So, I'm thinking, what is it worth to take care of the ones that we have? For 6 vehicles, Verizon would charge us $104 a month for 6 vehicles. That would track everything from speed to location to what do they call crisis events, whether fast acceleration, hard cornering, etc. It would track all the miles so that Jan is not looking at mileage cards every day and populating a spreadsheet and trying to keep track of when an oil change is due or a tire rotation is due. This would automatically send whoever's on the account an alert that says vehicle number 14 has reached a 5,000 mile oil change and tire rotation, and then we could get it scheduled and taken care of. Prior to me coming here and actually asking Jan to track all of our maintenance, it's been a real headache, and I'm not sure, some vehicles may have gone 10,000, 15,000 miles before they got maintained, and if we're going to keep an older fleet, then I think we need to take care of that older fleet. The time that Jan spends on this, we're talking, it doesn't take too many of her hours to pay for $104 a month for all 6 vehicles. So I would like to move ahead and have them come out. They have some crazy options. You can have cameras installed, and they can be forward facing and driver focused, so you can watch cell phone usage or anything else. I don't think we're Big Brother. I think our employees are trustable. I'm looking out for the mechanical life of our vehicles, and I think this would be well worth the expense. So wanted to share that with you, and unless there's any like bold opposition.
Are they requiring a contract, like 2-year contract, or?
After 12 months, it goes month to month. Yeah.
Not to interrupt you, but I do think that our local sheriff's office uses this. So this Verizon Fleet Management, that might be a place too to kind of just double check that it works well for them or not.
Let's see, where were we? Tech building. I met with the wall contractor today. We're looking in the building end. We did get the concrete poured on the inside, and we had some faithful volunteers help us with that. Because we had a minimum concrete order, we went ahead and poured a good portion of the south sidewalk that we can extend onto with the handicap parking lot. And you know, if you haven't done flat work, it's a lot of fun when you're 60. I wouldn't highly recommend it, but if you want to be really sore, it is a good time. The parking lot contractor I talked today, they're looking at getting in here the 1st of July, hopefully, and they will probably do all the asphalt section first before they do the cutout and put the concrete in the 2 biggest eroded areas on the south end and the north end. So we're moving ahead there slowly. Would say that Land Pride in Salina, I've met with Mark Decker, the president there, several times, and I went there Friday and picked up a load of steel which they donated to build our welding booths with. So now we're just in need of cutting and welding booths together because we were resourceful that way. Our ventilation system should ship June 24 for those welding booths, and then street plumbing will put the spiral ductwork together and get it out the building. So we're moving ahead. Hopefully we can be there by August 15. Have a never-ending needs. There are some mower issues. Our 2 mowers, we have a John Deere, I think they're both 975s. One of them is a 72-inch deck and one of them is a 60-inch deck. One of them has 1,500 hours, the other one has 1,700 hours. That is end of life, basically, for those mowers. We don't need 2 mowers anymore. The 72-inch was strictly to help mow the practice field and big areas, which now we have the batwing mower for. And I will reiterate again, that purchase was probably one of the most impactful efficiencies that we've done by cutting our mowing time by more than 50% of what we were on 0-turn mowers. So even though we've had a couple of hiccups and had break on it, you know, it's been minimal compared to the time it's saved. So I'm shopping around to see what we can do for one 60-inch mower. Our two current mowers are gas. I'm looking for a diesel. The gas, 1,500 plus hours is end of life. A diesel motor, 0 turn, would be in that 4,000 to 5,000 hour lifespan. This isn't critical because we're not broken down. I just want to let you know that the more we can be prepared, then it just helps us react better. There's nothing available right now. You can't get anything. John Deere has a 60-inch diesel. They actually have it because it's a demo. They want 17 grand for it. You get into the Kubota diesels, and that would be more like 14 grand. So both of them 0 turn, both of them about the same horsepower diesel. One has $3,000 worth of green paint on it. The other one's a Kubota. So, just want you to know, there will come a time when I'll say, okay, now we can't mow anymore and I gotta try to find something. Just aging out. I think we need everybody's help on our employment challenges. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Mrs. Flynn is probably about the most resourceful HR person I've ever run across with her tech-savvy, hip platform, social, whatever you call it, just her web presence or whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong, every interview we've gotten was facilitated by her outreach, not by applicant, on different platforms. However, if you saw in the front door, we have a significant number of openings. And if anybody knows of anybody, the community knows of anybody, we have a lot of openings. And we could use help on that. I think that's all I got.
Wait till you get my headhunter bill.
Any other questions?
The parking lot, is that the week or the first week of July? They're still anticipating being done by the time we start school?
Yes. They're aware of our start date.
They're on a 30-day thing too, right?
Yes.
They don't get it done, so.
Yeah, 98 grand, I think we get $100 a day if they don't get it done.
Yeah. If they get done by Christmas, we might get our money back. Okay, moving on. Executive session for personnel.
I'm not sure what they said.
Okay, let's go 10 to start with then.
I so move 10 minutes.
Okay, are we asking in? Or
Yes.
including here? Yep. Okay, David, so moved.
I'll second.
Jason seconded. Okay, I said 10 minutes. 13, 14. Motion by David, seconded by Jason, that USD 298 Board of Education go into executive session at 9:14, 8:14. Oh, sorry. Just looking at the second numbers. 8:14 for 10 minutes with the superintendent for the purpose of discussing personnel matters for non-elected personnel, and that the Board of Education return to open meeting at 8:24 in the Board of Education conference room. The executive session is required to protect the privacy interests of identifiable individuals. Any discussion?